Well, good morning, Facebook Live family and CSL Greater Boston. Happy you can join us for this Sunday celebration at where? 50 Dudley Street in Cambridge, Massachusetts. We are a community of love, beauty, and wonder. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yes, we are. And we are a community but my name is Rev G. Stewart, and I, along with Rev Ed Tansey, are the founders and spiritual leaders of this amazing and awesome community known as Center for Spiritual Living Greater Boston. This center, like all CSL communities, we learn, study, and practice the science of mind philosophy, which was founded and brought forward, synthesized by Reverend Dr. Ernest Holmes. And what Science of Mind is it is the study of life and the nature of the laws of thought. So here we practice oneness, do we not?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And we do all that means and all that entails in our lives, which is sometimes a test of our personal lives, is it not? At this center, we are radically inclusive and celebrate all paths that lead to the God of one's understanding. If you don't like the word God, try love or universe or infinite intelligence. I always love that one too. So, or the quantum possibility field. It doesn't matter what you call it. But what we need to know and understand is that it is the reality that we are experiencing in our lives, and that we are co-creating with all of our thoughts and our beliefs and our energy and our emotions that are going into that law and creating this reality. So it's important that we understand that. So I don't care what you call it, realize that you're using it all the time. So we are a teaching and practicing order, as Reverend Dr. Ernest Holmes said. And so we do teach classes. And so if you have any desire to know more about our classes or how to be more deeply steeped in this philosophy, I ask you to visit our website at cslboston.org, where you will find more information about our community. And we ask that you please consider including our community in your circulation and tithing practice. And you can make a financial gift to us right there at cslboston.org. And our community thanks you for your support in advance. So our 2019 theme is Spirituality in Action. And this month in October, it is Unity. I cherish the human family. It's a powerful realization. Can I really cherish the human family, even the ones who push my buttons? Yes, I can. So today what I want to talk to you about is God and the universe. Isn't that a great picture? I fell in love with that when I saw that online, and the words fit so perfectly. It was like divine. Yes, it was indeed a divine idea in expression. So in talking about this today, what I'd really like to discuss with you today is I'd like to discuss some ways that we look at God or the universe. I want to talk about the integral Christianity that Ken Wilber brings forward, and kind of talk about that, because I think it's a really powerful way for us to understand. Because in that reading that you had this morning, Barbara, it was so beautiful that you talked in pantheism. And pantheism is that God is in everything. We see God in everything. And really that's what we believe here, that God is all there is.
Panentheism.
Panentheism.
Was it pantheism you were talking about, or panentheism?
Panentheism.
Pantheism. Okay. Anyway, sorry.
Yes. But anyway, it's seeing God in everything, and that's what we want to. That's what we do. And then our creation of the God or the universe in our reality in our life, how we're creating that, we're co-creating with that, right? And then the last thing I want to talk about is expressing this divine reality in our lives, in every area of our lives. Okay? So would you agree that when I say God and the universe, it conjures up a lot of thoughts and beliefs from the limited to the unlimited? Would you agree with that? Mm-hmm. Indeed. Especially from our past, right? Because many of us have worked through some of those things in our past. Our belief in God or the universe will paint the picture of our life based on this hierarchy of our personal belief. And that's true. We are constantly painting a picture of our life based upon our understanding of God and the universe, or the God of our understanding. So Ken Wilber says that God is a range of belief based on our personal development. He states that there is an archaic God, a magic God, a mystic God, and a mental God, and then an integral God. So I want to break these down because there's so many thoughts in all of that, because it's going from the different levels of where we've been in our lives, or where in the past ancient wisdom has been. So let's break it down. So we'll start with the archaic God. So archaic God sees divinity in any strong instinctual force. So if we look at the past, if we look at the early believers of God, they believed the sun was God, the moon was God. They believed that these outward forces were something that were God. So that's the archaic God. So then we talk about the magic God. The magic God locates divine power in the human ego and its magical capacity to change the animistic world with rituals and spells. So when we talk about spells, we talk about these belief systems that believe that there is a God that we can manipulate, right, to get what we want, and we can make changes in our animated world, in our living world, right? So it's really powerful to understand that. So then we move on to the mythic God, which is located not on this earth, but in the heavenly paradise, not of this world, right? Many of us are familiar with this God. I know it was the God that sometimes was brought to me. And so entrance to which is gained by living according to the covenants and rules given by this God to his people, because it's a masculine God, right? So we could say that right in here tends to be where traditional Christianity and even some traditional other religions, that there's that mythic God, that it's outside of us, that it's out here somewhere. And then we talk about the mental God. Now this is probably where we're getting more into where we are in the world. And that's this mental God is a rational God, a mythologized ground of being that underlies all forms of existence. Every time I see this ground of being, I always have to laugh, because in our quantum physics class, we had Amit Goswami, who was this wonderful man with this deep, extreme Indian accent, and he was a studier of the quantum possibilities and quantum physics. And he would always say that, that this is the ground of all being. And that is how he would say it. But it was like, it never left me. But it helps me to understand that, yes, indeed, this God that we're talking about right here is the ground of my very being, is the ground of the being of everyone around us, of the allness of the universe. It is the ground of all being, seen and unseen. The dead, what they used to call in old science, the dead matter. But matter's not dead, it's alive, it's full of energy, it's active and intelligent. There's a power in it. And then the last thing he talks about here is the integral God is one that embraces all of the above. So that's a powerful understanding. That the God of our understanding encompasses all of this, because at one point or another in our journey, we have seen this God, have we not? Each and every one of us. And I will be putting that up on our Facebook page, because I think that's just so powerful. So, in looking at this, he goes on to say a few things here. But I would say that the integral God is the best fit for us as the CSL organization. Would you agree?
Yes.
Integrating all of it into this understanding and knowing that it is in everything, as everything, and is everything. And is us. And that's a powerful realization. So, Ken Wilber asks, which of these gods is the most important? You think we can separate one out? I don't think so. Because we need all those pieces in order to do it. And he says that as well. He says, according to the integral view, all of them, because each higher stage actually builds upon and includes the lower. So the lower stages are more fundamental and the higher stages are more significant. But leave out any one of them and you're in trouble. He says you are, that is, less than integral, less than comprehensive, less than inclusive of your understanding of God. Parts of me can agree with him and parts of me may disagree, although if I am knowing and understanding all these parts, it allows me to be present with whomever is in front of me. Right? Because I can sense and I can know who you are or where you're coming from by understanding all of those pieces. So really leaving any one of those pieces out would be less than the wholeness and the allness that we talk about as God. So it's very powerful to understand that. And I really love what Ken Wilber has brought. He has brought this to, he calls it integral Christianity. And it's a Christianity that is a little less dogmatic and more inclusive. And that's what really we should all be in. Not being so dogmatic and being more inclusive. Because inclusivity is seeing our oneness, right? Mm-hmm. If I'm inclusive, I'm seeing my oneness even in the things that I find to be a test. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So as I deeply embody this understanding of this integral God, I can be what Ernest Holmes talks about with this quote. Each one of us is an inlet to God each one of us is an outlet to God and an inlet to God. So we are both. We are the inlet and the outlet. And so by deepening into this integral God, or the universe, it brings us to this place of understanding this quote right here. That each one of us is an outlet to God and an inlet to God because we are that divine presence in physical form. Spiritual beings in a human body, having a spiritual experience. Unless we're buying the human, and then what are we having? A human experience. Right? Because if I'm buying that the human is the reality, then that's where I am. And then I'm meeting one of those different gods that he spoke of, right? And we meet that in people in the world. So we need to be centered in who we are. That I am this integral being involved in all that. So it's very important to look at that. So this integral God or universe now brings us to how we embody this in our lives, right? So let's look at how we create the God or universe in our reality or our life. It helps to understand, as stated in the book, and that is the beautiful book that you read from this morning, Barbara. Thank you so much for that. And he says in the book this, know that you are God, the universe, and that anywhere you aim, focus your consciousness, you create reality in one of the infinite physical and non-physical realms. So not just the physical, not where we just see it, but we're also creating it in the non-physical because it will come into form based upon what we're feeding into it, right? Our consciousness. It all begins with thought, contemplation, prayer, dreams, plans, desires, or any method of focusing our consciousness. And we use a lot of those here, do we not? Most of them, I think. Mm-hmm. We tend to use most of those, and I know that I love dreams. Dreams can be amazing guideposts in our lives. So if you wish to praise or blame God, the universe, for something, you should go to the mirror. Ouch. It is you, and has always been you, in charge of all reality. It's the small r reality. But is that not true? Am I not the one who is creating my reality? I love that idea of going to the mirror when I've got a complaint about God and saying it to the mirror, because it's waking me up to the fact that, guess what? I am that expression of God right there in every situation in my reality. It's powerful. And I love that quote. It really takes you out of the limitations of saying it's somebody else's fault, because we so love to do that. I don't anymore. I don't find the joy in that anymore that I used to. But I can remember years ago, it was always the boss wasn't good enough, this wasn't good enough. But then I realized, wait a minute, it's me that's not good enough because I'm not showing up in my fullness, in my allness. It's very powerful to realize that I'm in charge of all that. So if we indeed are responsible for all reality, should I say our reality, where do I begin to get in touch with this deity of my understanding? So where do I begin? Where would you think we would begin this? I'll give you a hint. Ernest Holmes says we are a teaching and practicing order. So where do you think we get into alignment with this deity? In our practices, exactly, Barbara. It's in our spiritual practices. That's how we get ourselves back into alignment. And they don't have to be some grand and glorious thing. Sometimes it can be as little as a deep breath and say, I am respiriting myself right now in your mind's eye. I am respiriting myself. And I can come out of that in a much better space. Has anybody ever done that? Mm-hmm. Take that deep breath before you immediately react. Because reaction is easy, and it's what we've been taught many times in our lives, or what we see in the world as acceptable, but we know it's not for us as spiritual beings, that it is not. So, and it's more than just prayer and meditation, visioning, and all the different practices that we use. Although, I have to say that as I was looking at prayer and what it means, I saw this wonderful quote, and I really want to share it with you. It comes from Soren Kierkegaard, and it just so sounds like what we do as spiritual mind treatment. The function of prayer is not to influence God, but rather to change the nature of the one who is praying. Right? So it's more about getting in alignment. But we're not influencing God. What we're doing is we're getting ourselves into alignment with the truth behind the outer reality. Right? That reality of our co-creation, so that we can create a better life. So we're not influencing God, we're just changing our own nature. I would say we're getting into alignment, and we are shifting our consciousness to the truth that we want to experience. Because that's what we do in our spiritual mind treatment, our scientific prayer. It's very powerful. And I just think that was just such a great quote. I mean, that guy was around in the 1800s. So this is ancient wisdom. This isn't just new thought. You know, we say new thought, but it's new thought, ancient wisdom. It's more than just new thought. So ultimately in our practices, it is our practices that keep us in divine alignment. Would you agree? That as long as I can keep myself in that alignment, I'm doing better. They allow us to show up and see out only, and not only see ourselves as God in action, but it also allows us to see others as God in action, from the smallest to the largest of things in our life. Not just people, but places, experiences, all that we're going through in a day-to-day activity. If I'm in alignment, I can start to see the God in action in everything. And that's what our whole year has been about, spirituality in action, right? So it's taking our spirituality that we work on here and out into the world. And be that. You don't have to change anybody, you don't have to make anybody think differently. All you have to do is be who you are in every experience, and you are shifting the consciousness of the greater race consciousness. Are you not? In everything that you're doing, in everything that you're saying. So it's very, very powerful. So my divine duty is to be the presence in all that I say and do and am. Would you agree? That's how I need to show up in the world. Not only my divine duty, it is up to all of us. Each and every one of us. So, this is how we are being called to express this divine reality. And in our lives and in the life of the world. Now, Ernest Holmes said, "You wish to be needed, to be loved, to be included in the great drama of life." Well, a little less drama, thank you very much. I'm not into the drama piece. I've done enough of that. This urge is in every individual. It is in everything. The rose exists to express beauty. Think about that. The rose exists just to express the beauty of its bloom. It's amazing. The roots and the branches conspire with nature to give birth to bloom, and I would say to fruit, and to all of the other things that is conspiring to bring all that forward for us. It's powerful. There is this creative urge in everything. The seen and the unseen. Right? So through our spiritual practices, we are tapping into this creative urge in everything, are we not? And we're being guided into that place of feeling more of that. And feeling it more often. So this is something that we have to do daily, sometimes hourly, and sometimes every minute in certain situations. So it's remembering who we are in those times when it's so easy to forget who we are. And I do it too. We've all been there, we've all done that. But it's realizing that we have the power to get back into that alignment with the love. Because as we give love, we receive love in return. As we give of our financial gifts in any situation, we receive our financial gifts back. Because it's that reciprocal nature of the universe. Everything that I am putting out is coming back to me. And so if the crap comes up, I got to look at it and say, "Ooh, what do I need to know so that I don't have more of that coming back to me? Where did I do that? Where was I a part of that? How did I buy into that somewhere?" And then just let it go. We don't hold on to it. We don't beat ourselves up for, "Oh God, what was in my consciousness?" Because it doesn't matter about that. It's not, "Oh God, what was in your consciousness that created that in your life?" It's about, what can I do with my practices that can allow myself to experience more of what I want and less of what I don't want. So I need to shift my consciousness, but I don't need to blame and shame around it. Because we don't blame and shame here. Sometimes we beat ourselves. Sometimes our worst enemy is ourselves in this. Because we beat ourselves up over it. Instead of just saying, "Oh, how interesting. You know, I don't wish to partake of any of that anymore." And that's okay. Because we're building a new idea. And we're not attaching energy to the thing we don't want. So that's the powerful realization. So what I would like to do is, I just want to say one quick thing now. Because I have a little experiential I want to kind of take you through. It's the Unity meditation from Science of Mind from the book. But I just want to remember that as we do this, as we understand that reciprocal nature of the universe, and we tap into it, and we trust that this good will come to us, we not only grow race consciousness to a higher level, we grow everything around us to a higher level. And so I ask that we think about all of the beauty, the love, the power, the light, the peace, the joy, and the abundance that are our gift to give into the world. Because as we give that into the world, we empower shifts and changes within the race consciousness. As I show up that way. So what I'd like to do is offer you this meditation because I think it's just so wonderful. So get yourself comfortable in your seats. And just allow yourself to be fully supported by the chair. Take a deep breath. And you can close your eyes if you haven't already done so. And just allow these words of Ernest Holmes, this meditation of Ernest Holmes, to take you to a full and deep unity. Today, I realize that I am one with the all good. My God and I are one. I cannot hide from its face. I behold thee, O Most High, enthroned in my temple of flesh. Thy secret place is within me. I feel thy presence. I hear thy voice. I rejoice in thy light. Today, my body responds to the divine behest. Be perfect. I know of my perfection and wholeness. I am complete and perfect now. Let every thought of disease flee from me. And let thy light shine. O light eternal, O light of my life, I come into thy presence with joy and thanksgiving. So be it. And now gently allow your consciousness to rise up and return back to the room as you are ready, taking a deep breath. you sense a unity with the infinite? A deepening of who we are. So this week, I ask you to join me in seeing God, the universe, in everything you come in contact with in this week. Are you willing to join me in that task?
Yes.
Yes.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Eternal God, magnificent presence, the all-good of life, the all-knowing power that exists within everything as everything, that power which is light and love and beauty and joy, and the power and peace that is also that which is in with myself. I know this truth of God is within each of us that is here today, that each of us has that power, that presence, that peace and joy and beauty. I know that each of us, as we know the truth of who and whose we are, we grow in fullness and richness, and in our consciousness we arrive at what is the perfect truth for each of us. I know that each of us knows exactly that which belongs to us in our own thinking, in our own thought, that which is perfect for each of us. Looking in the mirror and loving ourselves and knowing we are an individualization of God. Look at that face in the mirror and say to yourself, I am love, I am light, I am beauty and joy and peace and power and truth. And that truth that I know that is within each of us is the truth that we express to the world. And as we express it to the world, we vibrate an energy of love out to the world. As individualized beings of God, we are powerful, and we can put our love out there to each and everything and person and place and whatever it is that we are doing to express the truth of their being also, whether they know it or not. It's an all-good feeling, and I know this is the truth for all of life. And I have so much gratitude for knowing the power that each of us has, the power that this universe has, the energy that is everywhere present is all good energy. It's a wonderful, joyful knowing. And I put this out to the law knowing that each of us, in our own thinking, has the exact thing that we desire. Our consciousness works for our highest good and for the good of all. And with that, would you please join me in saying, and so it is.
So, shall we share in our affirmation? I recognize, read with me. I recognize that all life, my life, is of God. I feel that divine presence operate as my life, pulling me into an ever greater expression of who I am. And that comes from Reverend Bobby Becker, who is a good friend of ours, know her from ministry school. She's the senior minister of Namaste CSL. I believe that's in Long Beach, California. So let's read that again. I recognize that all life, my life, is of God. I feel that divine presence operate as my life, pulling me into an ever greater expression of who I am. Yes, and so it is.